You ever get that feeling deep down that you're capable of so much more, but something invisible is just holding you back? Well, today we are going to unlock the secrets from David Schwartz's absolute classic, The Magic of Thinking Big. We're going to show you exactly how to shatter those self-imposed limits. So let's just dive right in.
Wow. I mean, that quote, it kind of hits you right in the gut, doesn't it? Most people can't think big. This is the core problem we're tackling today. See, Schwartz's whole argument is that the biggest thing stopping you from succeeding, it's not your talent, it's not a lack of opportunity. Nope. It's the ceiling you build inside your own head. It's the difference between saying, okay, I'll apply for this job I'm totally qualified for, versus, you know what? I'm going for that job, the one that actually excites me, the one that's going to force me to level up.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? You've got two completely different paths. Over on the left, you have the small thinker. They're playing it safe, they're aiming for what seems reasonable or just good enough. But then you look to the right. That's the big thinker. They're setting a destination that forces them to grow, to become more than they are right now. And here's the most important part of all of this. Both of these are a choice. You get to decide which path you're on, literally at any moment. Okay, so what's really at the root of all this small thinking? Where does it even come from? Well, Schwartz's diagnosis is actually super simple, and it's powerful. It all comes down to the price tag you put on yourself. Let's dig into what that actually means.
This metaphor, honestly, it's a total game changer. Just think about it for a second. If you see yourself as a discount item, why would the world treat you any differently? It won't. Your own sense of self-worth, that sets the absolute ceiling for what other people are willing to give you, in your job, in your relationships, in your entire life. The world is not going to argue for a higher price for you. So the real question is, what price tag have you slapped on yourself?
And yeah, this classic quote from Henry Ford, it sums up that whole price tag idea just perfectly. Your belief system is basically the engine that drives every single one of your actions. It's like your own internal operating system. So if you truly believe you can do something, your brain will start looking for ways to make it a reality. But if you believe you can't, well, you'll find every single excuse in the book to prove yourself right. It really is that simple. So if belief is that powerful, what's stopping us? What's getting in the way? Well, Schwartz points to this really common disease that just sabotages our potential. He actually gives it a name, excuse-itis. And he says it's the #1 enemy of thinking big. Excuse-itis. Yep, the mind-deadening disease of making excuses. And look, we've all got it to some degree, right? Ugh, I'm too tired. I just don't have the time. I swear I'll start fresh on Monday. These things feel so real, so logical in the moment. But what they really are is just roadblocks that we build for ourselves. And here's the kicker. Schwartz says the more successful someone is, the fewer excuses they make, period. So let's look at the 4 most common flavors of this excuse-itis. See if any of these sound familiar. We tell ourselves these little stories, don't we? About our health, oh, my energy just isn't what it used to be. About our intelligence, I'm just not smart enough for that. Our age, I'm too old to start, or I'm too young to be taken seriously. And of course, good old luck. Some people just have all the luck. The reason these are so dangerous is that they let us completely off the hook. They make it feel totally okay to just stay put, right inside our comfort zone. So let's just pause for a second and be really honest with ourselves. Which one is your go-to? We all have a favorite, that one excuse that just pops into our head. And listen, the goal here is not to beat yourself up about it at all. It's just to become aware of your own default patterns. Because that awareness, that is the absolute first step to actually changing anything. All right, so we've diagnosed the problem, we've identified the enemy, but here's the really good news. There is a cure, and it's shockingly simple. It's just one word: action. You can't sit there and think your way out of fear. It doesn't work, but you can absolutely act your way right through it. And this insight is just so powerful. Think about it. When you hesitate, when you wait, you're literally feeding your fear. You're giving it time and space to get bigger. Your mind starts producing this whole Hollywood disaster movie of everything that could possibly go wrong. But action is like flipping on a giant spotlight that just makes all those scary shadows vanish. The big takeaway here, you have to move before you feel ready. So here's a simple 3-step plan to actually cure that fear. Step 1, isolate it. You have to define it. Get super specific. Ask yourself, what is the absolute worst thing that could actually happen? Step 2, take action. Do something, anything to move forward. Even a tiny step is enough to break that paralysis.
And third, and this might be the most important thing we talk about today, you have to realize that confidence comes after you act, not before. Confidence is the reward you get for being brave. It's not the ticket you need to get started.
I mean, this line says it all, doesn't it? A good plan executed today is better than a perfect plan executed a week from now. Perfect is the enemy of done. Waiting for the perfect time, the perfect logo, the flawless business plan, that's not strategy. That's just procrastination in a fancy suit. The real key, the secret, is to choose imperfect action over perfect inaction every single time. Okay, so action is the immediate cure for fear. That's the emergency medicine. But how do you build a mindset that's just naturally courageous and optimistic for the long haul? Let's talk about the daily regimen, the habits that build that powerful foundation for thinking big. Schwartz has this brilliant metaphor for this. He says to think of your mind like a memory bank account. Every single thought you have all day long is a deposit. So the only question is, what are you depositing? Are you putting in mental assets, or are you depositing mental liabilities? Because just like with money, these deposits compound over time and create your total mental wealth. And you can see the difference right here. Look at the column on the left. This is someone who's constantly dwelling on embarrassing moments, replaying their failures, filling their head with negative self-talk. That is a direct path to mental bankruptcy. But then look at the right. This is someone who intentionally focuses on their wins, even the tiny ones. They replay compliments they received. They practice positive self-talk. Now look, this isn't about being delusional or ignoring reality. It's about making a conscious choice about what you feed your mind. So, what kind of deposits are you going to make today? All right, we've covered the what and the why. We've diagnosed the problem and we've talked about the cure. But now it is time for the how. This final section is all about taking these ideas off the page and putting them into the real world. This is where the magic really happens. This quote right here, this explains why regret feels so darn heavy. Because a good idea that you don't act on, it doesn't just evaporate, it sticks around. And it turns into this source of psychological pain, this inner conflict and tension. But the second you take action, even a tiny action, all that tension gets released. You create positive momentum. Remember this, the cost of doing nothing is almost always way, way higher than the risk of just taking one small step. So here we are, the final challenge. You now know the magic. So my question for you is, what is just one, small action you can take in the next 5 minutes to move you closer to a bigger goal? Seriously, right now. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to be a start. Because the real magic of thinking big isn't in the thought itself. It's in the power of taking that single, immediate first step. So what's yours going to be?